The lights are still on. Mail piles up on the doorstep. A beat-up Infiniti sits abandoned in the parking lot, tools scattered across the back seat as if its owner just vanished into thin air. That owner is Lance Twiggs, the 22-year-old partner of Tyler Robinson, the man accused of assassinating conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. 2 days after the shooting, neighbors say Twiggs was led away by investigators. Since then, nothing. He hasn't returned to the condo he once shared with Robinson. He hasn't collected his mail. He hasn't even switched off the lights. One neighbor told reporters bluntly, if he comes back, it'll be in a body bag. Tonight, we're asking the question everyone wants answered. Where is Lance Twiggs? Is he hiding with family, in federal custody, or tucked away under witness protection? His life forever changed by the actions of the man he once loved. Stay with me as we piece together the facts, the speculation, and the unanswered questions behind one of the most mysterious disappearances linked to this case. But first, if you're watching this, take a moment to hit the like button, share this video with a friend, subscribe for future updates, and drop a comment below telling me where you're tuning in from. Your engagement helps bring more eyes to these stories and keeps this channel going. Now, let's begin. The September 10th, 2025. Utah Valley University. It was supposed to be just another evening on campus where conservative commentator Charlie Kirk was scheduled to speak. Instead, the event ended in tragedy. Shots rang out, Kirk collapsed, and within hours, the nation was in shock. The accused gunman, 21-year-old Tyler Robinson, a Utah resident whose name would soon be plastered across every news outlet in America. According to investigators, Robinson fired a single fatal shot from a concealed rifle, then disappeared into the night. For nearly a full day, the country didn't know who was responsible. Authorities scrambled, students panicked, families feared more violence. But eventually the search led to Robinson's doorstep. His family turned him into police, ending one of the most intense manhunts Utah had seen in years. Prosecutors wasted no time. Robinson now faces a mountain of charges: aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and the state has already announced plans to pursue the death penalty. But amid the headlines about the assassin himself, a second name surfaced, a name that few knew before the shooting, but one that has since become just as shrouded in mystery. Lance Twiggs, Robinson's roommate, his romantic partner, and as neighbors described, the person who shared a quiet life with him inside a modest condo in St. George, Utah. In the days that followed Kirk's assassination, Twiggs would go from being a background figure in Robinson's story to a central piece of the puzzle, and eventually to a disappearance that no one can fully explain. To understand the mystery surrounding Lance Twiggs, we first need to know who he was before he disappeared. Lance Twiggs, just 22 years old, lived with Tyler Robinson in a 3-bedroom condo in St. George, Utah. The property was owned by his grandfather, Jerry D. Twiggs, a well-off man with multiple properties across Utah and even in Hawaii. Neighbors knew Lance as quiet, somewhat withdrawn, but working part-time as a plumber. His Infiniti, battered and cluttered with tools and fast food wrappers, often sat in the driveway. But behind the ordinary exterior, there were things about Lance that set him apart. He was transgender, in the process of transitioning, and according to those who lived nearby, the relationship between him and Robinson wasn't just about shared rent, it was romantic. Neighbors later told reporters they had no doubt the two were a couple. That detail became critically important when investigators dug into what happened after the shooting, because the night Charlie Kirk was killed, Tyler Robinson didn't just disappear into thin air. He reached out to Lance Twiggs. Text messages later revealed a chilling exchange. Robinson confessed directly to Twiggs, saying, "I am still okay, my love. I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." In other words, Robinson admitted the crime, not to police, not to his family, but to the person closest to him. The messages didn't stop there. Robinson allegedly explained where the rifle had been hidden, worried aloud about whether his fingerprints might give him away, and begged Twiggs not to tell anyone. In those texts, investigators found both a confession and instructions, evidence that would later become central to the case. To the FBI, Twiggs was suddenly more than just a roommate. He was a key witness, a person who could confirm Robinson's words in real time, a link between the assassin and the truth of what happened that night. And so, almost overnight, Lance Twiggs went from obscurity to being thrust into the spotlight. A young plumber, a transgender partner, and now the keeper of the killer's final words before his arrest. This is where the story takes a darker, stranger turn. In the immediate aftermath of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Tyler Robinson's family brought him into police custody. As Robinson faced his first round of questioning, something else happened in St. George. Neighbors at the condo say they saw FBI agents arrive. Lance Twiggs, they claim, was led away for questioning. That was the last time anyone in the neighborhood saw him. Days passed, then a week. Still no sign of Twiggs. His condo, the one he once shared with Robinson, sat untouched. Lights burned in the upstairs windows, never switched off. Amazon packages collected on the doorstep, unclaimed. Letters and notes began to pile up, taped to the front door. Out in the parking lot, his Infiniti remained. Tools scattered across the back seat, a sandwich wrapper, and a soda cup still resting on the passenger side. As if he had stepped away for just a moment, expecting to return, but never did. To neighbors, the sight became haunting. One told reporters bluntly, "Good riddance, I never want to see either of them again." Another said grimly, "If he comes back, it'll be in a body bag." Whether meant as a threat or a warning, those words captured the intensity of local anger. To the community, Twiggs wasn't just a neighbor anymore. He was the partner of an assassin, and for some, that alone made him a target. The Daily Mail published photographs of the condo, the car, the piled-up packages. Each image added fuel to the speculation. Why hadn't Twiggs returned? Was he hiding? Was he in custody? Or had he simply vanished, swallowed up by a case that was already spiraling into chaos? Weeks later, the lights were still on, the car was still there, and Lance Twiggs was still nowhere to be found. With Lance Twiggs gone, the vacuum of information left the public desperate for answers. And when answers aren't given, theories fill the space. The first and most widespread theory, Lance Twiggs is in FBI custody. It makes sense. He was the recipient of Tyler Robinson's confession. He knew details about the murder weapon, the rifle's hiding place, and Robinson's attempts to cover his tracks. To prosecutors, Twiggs isn't just a witness, he's a star witness, the kind of testimony that can make or break a death penalty case. If that's true, then Twiggs might be under a gag order, cut off from friends, family, and neighbors until the trial begins. But not everyone buys that explanation. The second theory points to witness protection. If the FBI truly believed Twiggs' life was at risk, either from Robinson's supporters or from enraged locals, then placing him into the federal witness security program could have been the safest option. That would explain the sudden disappearance, the abandoned car, and the lights left burning. When someone enters witness protection, they don't go back for their mail, they don't return for their tools, they vanish, just like Twiggs did. Then there's a darker possibility. Some neighbors whispered that Twiggs may not have been taken by the government at all. Instead, they feared something had happened to him, retaliation, vigilante justice, or worse. Those words, "If he comes back, it'll be in a body bag," weren't easily forgotten. To this day, there's no public record of Twiggs resurfacing, no photographs, no confirmed sightings, and finally there are those who believe Twiggs himself chose to disappear, that he fled Utah on his own, driven by fear, shame, or the crushing weight of being linked to America's most infamous political assassination in recent memory. In this version of the story, he's out there somewhere, living quietly, hoping no one ever connects the dots. 4 theories, 4 possible fates, but no official word, and in that silence the mystery only deepens. To fully grasp why Lance Twiggs' disappearance matters, we have to step back and look at the bigger picture, the legal and social context surrounding this case. First, the legal side. Tyler Robinson isn't just another defendant, he's the man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, a nationally recognized conservative voice, a figure whose death has polarized the country and escalated political tensions. Prosecutors in Utah have already announced their intention to pursue the death penalty, which means this trial will be one of the most closely watched in the nation. In that kind of trial, a witness like Twiggs isn't optional, he's essential. His testimony could confirm the confession, reinforce the timeline, and dismantle any attempt by the defense to argue mistaken identity or false narrative. Without him, prosecutors would have to lean more heavily on circumstantial evidence. With him, they have Robinson's own words, "I am still okay, my love. I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age," etched into the record. But Twiggs' absence isn't just about the courtroom, it's about the world outside of it too. Public perception of Twiggs has been shaped by more than just his connection to Robinson. He was transgender, navigating his identity in a deeply divided America. For some, that detail fueled compassion. For others, it fueled hostility. Online forums quickly became breeding grounds for transphobic slurs, conspiracy theories, and scapegoating. Instead of being seen solely as a witness, Twiggs became a symbol, and in many ways, a target. Add to that the sheer anger in the St. George community. Neighbors felt betrayed, blindsided that someone in their midst could be tied to a political assassination. When people say things like, "If he comes back, it'll be in a body bag," it's not just gossip, it's evidence of a hostile environment that may have made staying in Utah impossible for Twiggs. In the end, the legal stakes and the social pressures collided. To prosecutors, Twiggs was vital. To the community, he was unwanted. And to the broader public, he was caught in the crossfire of politics, identity, and one of the most shocking crimes of the decade. As weeks turned into months, one question lingered over the case. Where is Lance Twiggs? His disappearance has become one of the most puzzling threads in the Charlie Kirk assassination story. Every piece of evidence suggests he simply vanished overnight. His car, his tools, his belongings, all left behind. His condo, frozen in time. His presence, erased. Some believe he was taken into federal custody the moment Robinson was arrested, that the FBI recognized Twiggs as a material witness and immediately placed him in protective housing. If that's true, it would explain why no one has seen him. It would also suggest the government considers him too important or too vulnerable to be left out in the open. Others argue the opposite, that Twiggs went into hiding on his own, possibly sheltered by his wealthy family. His grandfather, Jerry D. Twiggs, owns multiple properties across Utah and even in Hawaii. Could Lance have quietly relocated to one of those homes, shielded by family resources and lawyers, deliberately keeping his head down while prosecutors build their case? Then, of course, there are darker theories. Neighbors' grim warnings about a body bag reflect just how hostile the environment was. Could vigilante justice have claimed him? Could fear of reprisal have driven him to disappear entirely, maybe even under a new identity? What we know for certain is this: the trail ends at that St. George condo. Since the night he was taken away for questioning, there has been no official statement about his status, no court filings naming him as a co-defendant, no public acknowledgement of his cooperation, nothing but silence, and in that silence, speculation has thrived. Witness protection, custody, family exile, or something far worse. The mystery of Lance Twiggs isn't just about where he went, it's about why no one in authority seems willing to answer the question. The story of Lance Twiggs is more than a side note in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It is a story of disappearance, suspicion, and silence. We know he was the partner of Tyler Robinson, the accused assassin. We know he was questioned by law enforcement, and we know he never returned to the condo they once shared. Beyond that, everything is uncertain. Did he vanish into federal protection, hidden away as a key witness? Did he retreat into the shadows of his family's wealth, protected from the fury of neighbors and the public eye? Or has something more sinister happened, the kind of fate people whispered about when they said he'd come back in a body bag? Whatever the truth, one fact remains: his absence leaves a gaping hole in the narrative of this case. His testimony could shape the outcome of Robinson's trial. His silence could undermine it. And until we know what happened to him, the story is incomplete. For now, the lights at the condo burn on, the car sits idle, and the packages pile up, reminders of a life suddenly interrupted. This is the ongoing mystery of Lance Twiggs. What do you think happened to him? Is he a hidden witness, a fugitive, or a victim of circumstance? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, stay tuned, because this case is far from over.